Hello, my name is Kennedy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the mobile media diffusion in the United States. So, even though mobile phones and mobile media devices are accessible worldwide, I decided to do my presentation on America because I live here and I've seen the impact that mobile media has had on this country over the last couple years, and I thought it would be fun to explore its diffusion. So I'll be exploring the diffusion patterns, the major mobile media companies, and the mobile media diffusion patterns of television and older media devices. According to a 2018 study with the Pew Research, 74% of adult Americans own laptops, and 52% own tablet computers, which is up from 2008's numbers where 74 Americans owned desktops, and in 2010 only 3% of the population owned tablets. So this is mobile media diffusion right before our eyes, because in the course of roughly 10 to 12 years, adult Americans turned more to the mobile option like laptops and tablets over the sedentary desktop. And this is because mobile media is growing and people don't really see much of a need to keep sedentary devices, especially when you're on the go, if you're working and you need to take your devices where you are. And so it's much easier to have those tablets or those laptops for you to be able to take with you on the go when you go to work, all that good stuff. I know there are so many people who take their work home with them. So you have the laptop at work and you can just take it home. That's something you couldn't really do 10 years ago, because mostly everyone had a desktop. Like, we all remember those big chunky desktops you have. That's all people had. And so now you can have a laptop, you take it home, do whatever you want on it. It makes life a lot easier. And it's not just for work. You can watch movies, you can watch your favorite shows, you can play games, computer games, even video games. And so it kind of eliminates the need for a sedentary setup when you have this mobile device that can do everything it can and probably more that you can take wherever you go. Okay? And now let's talk about cell phones, which are probably the most popular mobile media device we have. It's probably the first thing that comes to anyone's mind whenever they think of mobile media, in all honesty. So pretty much everyone has a cell phone. They take it pretty much everywhere they go. You use your cell phone for everything. Listening to music, social media, shopping, banking, watching TV, movies. Anything, news. Anything you can think of, your phone can do it. I can't really think of anything that my phone can't or doesn't do. My life is pretty much on it. So with a device like this, why do you need a stationary device? And when I think of a stationary or sedentary phone, I think of your old house phone. It had the cord, or it was connected to the wall or whatever. A lot of people don't even have home phones anymore, or not even really an office phone with a cord. A lot of people have office cell phones because there's just no need for a sedentary phone. It just doesn't even make any sense. They're kind of obsolete. They're kind of dying off. I know at my job I work for a nonprofit, and we have a company phone, which is also a cell phone. It's not a desktop, which I thought was kind of cool. And it also strange at the same time, because when you think of an office phone, you automatically think, oh, one with a cord. But even that's adapting and making it's diffusing and growing and making the need for a sedentary phone. I found this fun fact really fun, or really interesting, that cell phones have grown so much that 6 out of the 7 billion people in the world have access to a mobile phone. When you think about it, most of the population has access to a cell phone. And you think of this device that I'll say 20 years ago, was seen more like a luxury. You know, not many people had a cell phone because they probably, well, not 20 years ago, 30 years ago, sorry, about 30 years ago, not many people had them. They were kind of seen like a luxury, a high ticket item, and then like 10, 15 years ago, now they hardly do anything. You know, you had those little Nokias that took you like forever to send one text message. All they pretty much did was send text messages and make calls. Or you might have those, you might have like 2 games that you can play, and they were probably the most basic games. And now, majority of the whole world's population has a mobile phone, with the access to all this stuff like right at their fingertips. I mean, that's just amazing how much diffusion these little mobile devices have done in a relatively short amount of time. So when we get into smartphones, smartphones are sometimes too smart. And so these are some of the most popular mobile cell phone devices, or cell phone companies, in the United States. So the website that I got this information from ranks Samsung at number 1, and Apple is number 2, and then not too far behind it are Google and LG. And, you know, this makes sense. I know Samsung is a really popular phone along with Apple. You know, there's been great debate, Samsung or Apple, Android or iPhone. And so my favorite is Apple. I have an iPhone, I have an Apple Watch, I have AirPods, kind of like an Apple geek. But I like it because all my mobile media devices that I have, they all connect to each other. So like my phone is connected to my watch, it's connected to my headphones and my iPad, and it just makes my life so much easier. You know, with my iPad, it's like you don't even need a laptop. And so it just kind of, it helps you function. It helps everything move smoothly when your whole life is interconnected. There's really no need for those big, chunky devices. So yeah. And so here's this chart from Statista.com showing the growth of mobile phones in America. So we all can tell just from like looking around us, we can all tell that the use of mobile phones has drastically increased. But here's a chart that actually shows it. And so if you look, in 2010, less than like 25% share of the population had a cell phone. Like, that's crazy, like 25%. And it has gone to almost 75% in 2020. Now, I know like it's like, 25 to 75, but like in 10 years, it's almost tripled. And so that's almost everyone. That's only 25% of the population doesn't have one. And so that might be, you know, your older generation who doesn't really want a cell phone. I know my granddad, he did not want a cell phone. He didn't even want to learn how to text. So that makes sense. But just imagine what the percentage will be in like 2030. How many people will have a cell phone? You probably won't be able to find a person without some sort of smartphone or mobile device. So why is this? I thought this was interesting. One of the major reasons why people use their cell phones is to get the news. A phone that does like anything you can think of, the main reason is to get the news, which has made newspapers obsolete, but also like radios and televisions. If you can get your news from your mobile phone, you can even watch the nightly or daily or whatever news you need to watch. You can even watch that straight from your phone, so you really don't need it. 48% of people from the ages of 18 and 29 get their information from social media, and 21% get theirs from news apps. So that's majority of this age group. That is the majority of the United States. They get their information from their phones. So there's no need for, you know, a television or a radio. So as you can see, mobile media has grown so much over the years, and it's just going to keep growing. It has made sedentary objects like televisions, radios, desktops totally obsolete. And if it spread that much over the past decade, who knows what it'll be like in the future, and so on and so on. We probably will never see a desktop again in like 10 years.